The abduction. The stars twinkled innocently in the night sky as Zara Mackenzie peered through her telescope. At just 16 years old, she was already making waves in the scientific community with her groundbreaking theories on interstellar communication. Little did she know that her keen interest in the cosmos would soon catapult her into an adventure beyond her wildest dreams. Zara adjusted the focus, her breath catching as she spotted an unusual light pattern. It wasn't like anything she'd seen before, too fast for a satellite, too erratic for a plane. She quickly jotted down notes, her mind racing with possibilities. "Mom, Dad, come look at this," she called out, excitement evident in her voice. But as she turned to fetch her parents, a blinding light flooded her backyard observatory. The air crackled with energy, and Zara felt a strange tingling sensation across her skin. Her feet left the ground, and panic set in as she realized she was being lifted into the air. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was the rapidly shrinking image of her home below. When Zara awoke, she found herself in a sterile metallic room. The walls pulsed with a faint blue light, and unfamiliar symbols scrolled across what appeared to be holographic displays. She sat up, her head spinning, and tried to make sense of her surroundings. "Hello," she called out, her voice echoing in the empty chamber. "Is anyone there?" As if in response, a section of the wall slid open, revealing a corridor beyond. Zara hesitated, weighing her options. Stay put in this strange room, or venture out into the unknown. Her curiosity won out, and she cautiously stepped into the hallway. The corridor seemed to stretch endlessly in both directions, curving slightly as if following the contours of a massive ship. Zara's scientific mind kicked into overdrive, analyzing every detail. The material beneath her feet was neither metal nor plastic, but something in between. The air had a slightly sweet scent, reminiscent of ozone after a thunderstorm. As she walked, she noticed that the lights seemed to respond to her presence, brightening just ahead of her and dimming behind. It was as if the ship itself was guiding her. But to where and why? Suddenly, she heard a sound, a low, melodic hum that seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. It grew louder as she approached a large, circular door at the end of the corridor. The door slid open as she neared, revealing a vast chamber beyond. Zara's jaw dropped as she took in the sight before her. The room was a massive observatory, far more advanced than anything she'd ever seen or imagined. Holographic star maps filled the air, and through a transparent dome above, she could see unfamiliar constellations wheeling slowly past. But it wasn't the technology that made her gasp, it was the beings operating it. They were undeniably alien. Tall, slender creatures with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors as they moved. Their eyes were large and multifaceted, like those of insects, and they had no visible mouth. Instead, Zara realized they were communicating through the melodic tones she'd heard earlier. One of the aliens turned and noticed her. It made a series of quick, chirping sounds, and suddenly all activity in the room ceased. Every alien eye turned to focus on Zara. Fear gripped her, but she forced it down. This was first contact. Everything she did now could affect the future of human-alien relations. She straightened her back, lifted her chin, and spoke clearly. "My name is Zara Mackenzie. I come from Earth. Why have you brought me here?" The aliens exchanged looks, their skin flickering with patterns that Zara suspected were a form of non-verbal communication. Then, to her surprise, one of them responded in perfect English. "Greetings, Zara Mackenzie of Earth. We are the Lumina. We have brought you here because you are special." The alien's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once, resonating in her mind rather than her ears. Zara blinked, trying to process this. "Special? How and why me?" The alien who had spoken glided forward. Up close, Zara could see that what she had taken for skin was actually a field of energy containing millions of tiny, swirling particles. "You have a gift, Zara Mackenzie. A gift that could save not just our species, but countless others across the galaxy. Zara's mind reeled. Say species. Across the galaxy. It was too much to take in. But before she could ask more questions, another alien approached, carrying what looked like a crystalline orb. "We will show you," the first alien said. As the orb was brought closer, Zara felt a strange pull. It was as if the crystal was calling to her, resonating with something deep inside her mind. Without thinking, she reached out and touched it. The moment her fingers made contact, the world exploded into light and sound. Zara saw stars being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling, the vast tapestry of the universe unfolding before her. And through it all, she felt a desperate cry for help, a plea that echoed across time and space. When the vision faded, Zara found herself on her knees, gasping for breath. The aliens surrounded her, their energy fields pulsing with what she somehow knew was concern. What was that?" she managed to ask. The lead alien's voice was solemn. That, Zara Mackenzie, was the cosmic nexus, a network that connects all sentient life in the galaxy. It is dying, and with it, countless civilizations will fall. But you can hear its song. You can mend the broken threads. Zara stood shakily, her mind struggling to comprehend the enormity of what she'd just experienced. "But I'm just a girl from Earth. How can I possibly do something like that?" The alien's energy field shimmered with what Zara interpreted as a smile. "You are far more than that, Zara Mackenzie. You are the key we have been searching for across millennia. The fate of the galaxy rests in your hands." As the weight of those words settled on her shoulders, Zara realized that her life would never be the same. She was no longer just a girl with a telescope in her backyard. She was humanity's ambassador to the stars, and possibly the savior of galactic civilization. With a deep breath, she squared her shoulders and looked the alien in its multifaceted eyes. "All right," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Tell me everything. If I'm going to save the galaxy, I've got a lot to learn." The alien's energy fields pulsed with approval, and as they began to explain the true nature of the universe to her, Zara couldn't help but feel a thrill of excitement. This was the adventure of a lifetime, and she was ready to face it head-on. Little did she know that her greatest challenges and her greatest triumphs were yet to come. The revelation. As the luminous ship hurtled through the vast expanse of space, Zara found herself struggling to absorb the flood of information being shared with her. The lead alien, who had introduced itself as Scylla, patiently explained the nature of their crisis. "Our homeworld, Lumina Prime, is dying." Scylla's melodic voice resonated in Zara's mind. "The cosmic nexus, which once nourished our planet and countless others, is unraveling." Zara furrowed her brow, trying to understand. But what exactly is this cosmic nexus? Scylla's energy field shimmered, creating intricate patterns that Zara was beginning to recognize as expressions of emotion. This one seemed to be a mixture of reverence and concern. "The nexus is the lifeblood of the galaxy," Scylla explained. "It's an interconnected web of energy that flows between stars, planets, and sentient beings. It's what allows for faster-than-light travel, telepathic communication, and the harmony of all living things." As Scylla spoke, the ship's holographic displays came to life, showing Zara a breathtaking visualization of the nexus. It looked like an impossibly complex spiderweb made of light, stretching across the entire galaxy. "And it's dying?" Zara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Scylla nodded, a gesture they had adopted to communicate with Zara more easily. "Yes. Over the past millennium, we've observed the nexus slowly deteriorating. Connections are breaking, energy flows are weakening. If it collapses entirely, everything dies," Zara finished, the gravity of the situation sinking in. "Precisely," Scylla confirmed. "Which is why we've been searching for someone like you, Zara. Someone who can hear the song of the nexus and potentially mend it." Zara's mind was reeling. Just days ago, her biggest concern had been finishing her high school science project. Now, she was apparently the key to saving the entire galaxy. It was almost too much to bear. "But why me?" she asked. "I'm just a human. We don't even have interstellar travel yet. How could I possibly have this ability?" Scylla's energy field pulsed with what Zara was beginning to recognize as excitement. "That's a fascinating part, Zara. Your species, while technologically young, has an innate connection to the Nexus that we've never seen before. You're all connected to it, but most can't perceive it consciously. You, however, are different. Your mind can not only sense the Nexus, but potentially manipulate it." As if on cue, the ship suddenly dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Through the observatory's transparent dome, Zara saw a planet unlike anything she'd ever imagined. Lumina Prime was a world of crystalline structures and swirling energy fields. Its surface seemed to be in constant motion, with colors shifting and changing in mesmerizing patterns. But even to Zara's untrained eye, something seemed wrong. The planet's glow was dim, its movements sluggish. "Our home," Scylla said, a note of sadness in their voice. "Once it shone so brightly it could be seen across half the galaxy. Now it's fading, along with our people." As they approached the planet, Zara could see vast cities built into the crystalline landscape. But many of the structures seemed to be crumbling, their once brilliant lights flickering weakly. The ship descended through the atmosphere, landing on a platform overlooking a sprawling metropolis. As Zara stepped out, she felt a strange sensation wash over her. It was as if she could hear a faint, mournful song emanating from the very ground beneath her feet. "You can sense it, can't you?" Scylla asked. "The planet's pain, the weakening of the Nexus." Zara nodded, unable to find words to describe the overwhelming feeling. Scylla led her through the city, and Zara saw firsthand the effects of the dying Nexus. Luminous citizens moved slowly, their energy fields dim and faltering. Some areas of the city were completely dark, abandoned as the energy needed to sustain them dwindled. They arrived at a massive structure that Scylla explained was the Hall of Elders, the seat of Luminan government. Inside, they were greeted by a group of Lumina whose energy fields were more complex and intricate than any Zara had seen so far. One of them stepped forward, their voice resonating with authority. "Welcome, Zara of Earth. I am Aravax, Chief Elder of Lumina. We have awaited your arrival with great hope." Zara swallowed hard, feeling the weight of their expectations. I'm honored, but I'm not sure I understand how I can help. This is all so far beyond anything I've ever known." Aravax's energy field pulsed gently. "We understand your uncertainty, young one, but you must understand, you represent our last hope. Our greatest minds have tried for centuries to mend the Nexus, to no avail. But you have a connection we've never seen before." Another elder spoke up. "We've been monitoring your planet for some time. Your species' potential is immense, but untapped. You, Zara, are the first to show active ability to interact with the Nexus." "But how?" Zara asked. "And why now?" Scylla stepped forward. "We believe it's because of the Nexus's weakening state. As it deteriorates, it's reaching out seeking help. Your mind was receptive to its call." Aravax nodded. "And now we must ask you to attempt something never before achieved. We need you to try to heal the Nexus, to restore the connections that are breaking down." Zara felt a wave of panic. "But I don't know how. I didn't even know the Nexus existed until a few hours ago." The elders exchanged looks, their energy fields flickering rapidly. Finally, Aravax spoke again. "We have a theory. We believe that by placing you in direct contact with a Nexus node, a point where multiple threads of the Nexus converge, you may be able to intuitively understand how to mend it." Zara took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. "And if I can't?" The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Scylla spoke, their voice gentle but grave. "Then, Zara, we face extinction. Not just the Lumina, but potentially all life in the galaxy. The Nexus is fundamental to the fabric of our reality. If it fails entirely, the consequences would be unimaginable." The weight of the galaxy seemed to settle on Zara's shoulders. She thought of Earth, of her family, of all the people going about their lives, unaware that their fate hung in the balance. She thought of the Lumina, an ancient and advanced civilization facing oblivion, and she thought of all the other worlds and species she'd never even knew existed, all depending on her. With a determination she didn't know she possessed, Zara straightened her back and looked Aravax in the eye. "I'll do it. I don't know if I can succeed, but I'll have to try. For all of us." A wave of relief seemed to pass through the assembled Lumina, their energy fields brightening noticeably. Aravax bowed slightly. "Thank you, Zara of Earth. Your courage honors us all. We will prepare the node chamber immediately. And know this, whatever the outcome, you've given us something we had almost lost: hope." As the Lumina bustled into action, Zara stood still, her mind racing. She was about to attempt something no human, perhaps no being in the galaxy, had ever done before. The fate of countless lives rested on her shoulders. But as she looked out over the dimming beauty of Lumina Prime, Zara felt a spark of determination ignite within her. She might be just one girl from Earth, but she was humanity's representative in this vast, interconnected cosmos. And she would not let her species, or any other, down. Little did Zara know that her journey was only beginning, and that the true nature of the Nexus, and her role in the galaxy's fate, was far more complex and dangerous than she could possibly imagine. The connection. The Nexus node chamber was unlike anything Zara had ever seen. It was a vast, spherical room, its walls covered in pulsing, crystalline structures that seemed to breathe with an inner light. At the center, suspended in mid-air, was a swirling vortex of energy, the Nexus node itself. As Zara approached, guided by Xela and the Lumina Elders, she felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body. The faint song she had heard since arriving on Lumina Prime grew stronger, more insistent. "Are you ready, Zara?" Xela asked, their energy field flickering with concern. Zara took a deep breath, steeling herself. "As ready as I'll ever be." Aravax stepped forward. "Remember, young one, trust your instincts. The Nexus speaks to you in ways we cannot comprehend. Listen to it." With a nod, Zara stepped towards the node. As she reached out to touch it, the energy surged, enveloping her in a cocoon of light. The world around her faded away, replaced by a vast cosmic tapestry. She could see the threads of the Nexus stretching across the galaxy, pulsing with life and energy. But there were gaps, broken connections, frayed edges. The song she had heard before now surrounded her, a symphony of creation tinged with discord. Instinctively, Zara reached out with her mind, trying to mend a broken thread. To her amazement, it responded, slowly knitting back together. Excitement surged through her. She could do this. But as she worked, something strange happened. A presence made itself known, ancient, vast, and decidedly non-human. It seemed curious about her, probing at the edges of her consciousness. Startled, Zara's concentration broke. The thread she was mending snapped back apart, and she felt herself being pulled away from the Nexus. With a gasp, she found herself back in the node chamber, collapsing to her knees. The Lumina surrounded her, their energy fields pulsing with concern. Xela helped her to her feet. What happened? For a moment, we saw the node brighten. We thought. Zara shook her head, trying to clear it. There was something else in there. Another presence. It didn't feel like part of the Nexus. The Lumina exchanged worried glances. Aravax stepped forward, their voice grave. "In all our years of studying the Nexus, we've never encountered another sentient presence within it. Are you certain, Zara?" She nodded emphatically. "Absolutely. It was there, watching me. And when I noticed it, it pushed me out, I think." A murmur ran through the assembled Lumina. This was clearly unexpected, and from the rapid flickering of their energy fields, Zara could tell they were deeply concerned. As the elders huddled together in urgent discussion, Xela pulled Zara aside. "There's someone you should meet," they said, their voice low. someone who might be able to help us understand what you experienced." Curious and still shaken from her experience, Zara followed Selah through winding crystalline corridors. They descended deep into the heart of the luminous city, far below the glittering spires above. Finally, they arrived at a small, unassuming door. Selah paused, that energy field flickering with what Zara had come to recognize as nervousness. "What I'm about to show you, it goes against many of our societal norms, but I believe it may be crucial to our mission." Intrigued, Zara nodded. Selah activated the door, and they stepped inside. The room beyond was dimly lit, filled with strange machinery and swirling holograms. But what caught Zara's attention was a figure hunched over a workbench in the corner. It was a Lumina. But unlike any Zara had seen before, its energy field was erratic, flickering between colors in a chaotic dance. As it turned to face them, Zara gasped. One of its multifaceted eyes was replaced by a mechanical construct, glowing with an eerie red light. "Zara," Selah said, "meet Calix, our unconventional scientist." Calix's energy field pulsed with curiosity as it studied Zara. When it spoke, its voice was rougher than the melodic tones of other Lumina, tinged with a mechanical edge. "So, this is the human who can hear the Nexus. Interesting, very interesting." Zara found herself both fascinated and slightly unnerved by Calix. "You're different from the other Lumina," she said cautiously. Calix made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Observant, aren't you?" "Yes, I'm what you might call a black sheep. I believe in pushing boundaries, in exploring avenues of science that others consider taboo." Selah stepped forward. "Calix has been studying the Nexus from a different perspective. We hoped that perhaps I might have some insight into the presence your human friend encountered." Calix finished. "How fascinating. Tell me everything." As Zara recounted her experience in the node chamber, Calix's energy field pulsed with excitement. When she finished, the unconventional lumina was practically vibrating. "Don't you see?" Calix exclaimed. "This changes everything. The Nexus isn't just an energy network, it's alive." Selah's energy field flickered with alarm. "Calix, that's dangerously close to heresy. The Nexus is a natural phenomenon, not a sentient being." But Calix was undeterred. "Think about it. Why has the Nexus been deteriorating? Why has it reached out to a species as young as humans? It's not dying, it's evolving, and it needs help to do so." Zara's mind was reeling. Could it be true? Was the vast cosmic network she had touched actually a living entity? Calix turned to Zara, its mechanical eye glowing intensely. "You, human, are the key. You can communicate with the Nexus in a way we never could, but you need to go deeper. You need to make full contact with the consciousness within." Selah's energy field pulsed with worry. "That's too dangerous. We don't know what prolonged exposure to the Nexus might do to a human mind." But Zara found herself nodding slowly. Something about Calix's words resonated with her. She remembered the curious probing she'd have felt, the sense of an ancient intelligence examining her. "I'll do it," she said firmly. "If there's even a chance that this could save the Nexus, save the galaxy, I have to try." Calix's energy field brightened with approval. "Excellent. We'll need to modify the node chamber, create a more stable connection, and you, my dear, will need to prepare your mind for an encounter unlike any in human history." As Calix bustled about, already sketching plans and muttering calculations, Zara felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. She was about to attempt something unprecedented, potentially communing with a vast cosmic intelligence. Selah placed a comforting tendril on her shoulder. "Are you sure about this, Zara? There's no shame in backing out." Zara took a deep breath, then nodded firmly. "I'm sure. This is bigger than me, bigger than all of us. If I can help, I have to try." As they left Calix's lab, plans in motion for the next, riskier attempt to connect with the Nexus, Zara couldn't help but feel that she stood on the precipice of something monumental. Whatever happened next would change not just her life, but potentially the course of galactic history. Little did she know that her decision would set in motion a chain of events that would challenge everything the Lumina, and indeed, the entire galaxy, thought they knew about the nature of reality itself. The rebellion. The next few days were a whirlwind of preparation. Calyx worked tirelessly, modifying the node chamber with strange devices of their own design. Zara, meanwhile, underwent intense mental training with Sela, learning techniques to focus her mind and strengthen her connection to the Nexus. But not everyone was happy with this turn of events. Many of the Lumina elders viewed Calyx's theories as dangerous heresy. The idea that the Nexus might be a sentient being challenged millennia of Luminan beliefs and scientific understanding. As Zara entered the modified node chamber, she could feel the tension in the air. Awakens and several other elders watched from an observation deck, their energy fields flickering with a mix of hope and apprehension. Calyx's voice crackled over the chamber's communications system. "Remember, Zara, don't fight the connection. Let the Nexus in. If I'm right, it's been waiting for someone like you for a very long time." Zara nodded, took a deep breath, and stepped into the swirling energy of the node. Immediately, she felt the familiar sensation of being stretched across the cosmos. But this time, thanks to Calyx's modifications and her own training, she remained aware of herself. The vast tapestry of the Nexus spread out before her. Zara could see the damaged sections more clearly now, the fraying threads of energy that connected worlds and species across the galaxy. But she also sensed something else, a presence, vast and ancient, watching her with curiosity. Gathering her courage, Zara reached out with her mind. "Hello," she thought. "Can you understand me?" For a moment, there was nothing. Then, like a tidal wave of thought and emotion, a response crashed over her. Understanding, recognition, joy. The force of it nearly overwhelmed Zara, but she held on, focusing on maintaining the connection. Gradually, the flood of sensations coalesced into something more comprehensible. "You are new," a voice that wasn't quite a voice resonated in Zara's mind. Different, yet familiar. "I'm human," Zara thought back. "My name is Zara. Are you the Nexus itself?" A sense of amusement washed over her. "I am, and I am not. I am the consciousness that has grown within the Nexus over eons. The Nexus is my body, the galaxy my mind." Zara's excitement was tempered by confusion. "But why are you dying? The Luna think the Nexus is breaking down." Sadness tinged the entity's response. "Not dying, changing, growing. But the process is difficult, painful. The old structures must break for the new to emerge." Suddenly, Zara understood. "You're evolving, but it's hurting the species that depend on you." "Yes," the entity confirmed. "I did not intend this. But I could not communicate, could not explain, until you." A rush of images flooded Zara's mind. Countless civilizations rising and falling, the slow growth of consciousness within the Nexus, the painful process of evolution that now threatened the galaxy. And through it all, a deep loneliness, a yearning for connection. You needed someone who could understand you, Zara realized, to help guide your evolution without destroying the species that depend on you. "Yes," the entity replied, relief evident in its mental voice. "Will you help?" Before Zara could respond, she felt a violent tugging sensation. The connection wavered, and suddenly she was back in the node chamber, gasping for breath. Awakens's voice boomed through the chamber. "Shut it down. This has gone too far." As Zara's vision cleared, she saw chaos erupting around her. Calyx was arguing vehemently with the elders, that energy field crackling with anger. Sela stood between them, trying to mediate. "You don't understand," Calyx shouted. "The Nexus isn't dying, it's evolving. We need to help it, not fight it." But Awakens was unmoved. "This is blasphemy. The Nexus is a natural phenomenon, not a living entity. This experiment ends now." As guards moved to deactivate the node chamber, Zara found her voice. "Wait," she cried out. "You have to listen. The entity in the Nexus, it's real. It needs our help." Her words gave everyone pause. Even the guards hesitated, looking to the elders for guidance. Sela seized the moment. "We should at least hear what Zara has to say. She's the only one who's made direct contact." Reluctantly, Aravax nodded. "Speak, human, but choose your words carefully." Over the next hour, Zara explained everything she had learned. The entity's existence, its unintended harm to the galaxy as it evolved, and its need for help to guide its transformation. As she spoke, she could see the luminous energy fields flickering with a range of emotions: disbelief, wonder, fear, and hope. When she finished, silence reigned. Finally, Aravax spoke, then a voice heavy. "If what you say is true, it changes everything. Our entire understanding of the cosmos is flawed," Calix finished. "But that's the beauty of science. We learn, we adapt, we grow, just like the Nexus is trying to do." But not all were convinced. One of the other elders stepped forward, their energy field pulsing with anger. "This is madness. We cannot risk our entire civilization on the words of an alien child and a discredited scientist. The node must be shut down permanently." To Zara's shock, several of the guards moved to support the dissenting elder. The chamber erupted into arguments, with the Lumina taking sides. It was clear that a deep rift had formed in their society. In the chaos, Scylla pulled Zara aside. "This is worse than I feared. Our society has never faced a challenge like this. If we don't act quickly, this could lead to civil war." Zara's mind raced. She couldn't let this happen. Not when they were so close to understanding the truth about the Nexus. "We need to go back," she said firmly. "Back into the Nexus. I need to talk to the entity again, find out how we can help it evolve without harming the galaxy." Sela's energy field flickered with worry. "It's too dangerous. The elders will never allow it." "Then we do it without their permission," Calix said, joining them. "I have a backup node in my lab. Smaller, less powerful, but it should be enough." Zara nodded, determination setting in. "Let's do it. The fate of the galaxy is at stake. We can't let fear and tradition stand in our way." As alarms began to blare and the chamber descended further into chaos, Zara, Sela, and Calix slipped away. They were now rebels, acting against the wishes of the Lumina leadership. But they were also perhaps the galaxy's best hope for survival. As they raced through the crystalline corridors of the luminous city, Zara's heart pounded. She was no longer just a girl from Earth, thrust into an intergalactic adventure. She was now the linchpin in a rebellion that could reshape the very fabric of the cosmos. The next phase of their journey was about to begin, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The fate of not just the Lumina, not just humanity, but every species in the galaxy now rested on their success. And somewhere, in the vast cosmic web of the Nexus, an ancient consciousness awaited their return, ready to embark on the next stage of its evolution, with Zara as its guide. The discovery. Calix's underground lab was a stark contrast to the sleek, crystalline architecture of the luminous city above. It was a chaotic mess of jury-rigged equipment, holographic displays, and pulsing energy conduits. In the center stood a makeshift Nexus node, smaller and cruder than the one in the main chamber, but humming with potential. "It's not pretty," Calix said, the mechanical eye whirring as they made final adjustments, "but it should do the job. Are you ready, Zara?" Zara nodded, her heart racing with a mix of fear and excitement. "As ready as I'll ever be." Axela placed a comforting tendril on her shoulder. "Remember your training, and Zara, be careful." With a deep breath, Zara stepped into the swirling energy of the node. The familiar sensation of cosmic expansion washed over her, but this time she was prepared. She reached out with her mind, searching for the vast consciousness she had encountered before. "Hello," she called out mentally. "Are you there?" For a moment, there was nothing. Then, like a supernova of thought and emotion, the entity's presence burst into her awareness. Joy, relief, OOG Sui. You have returned. The entity's thoughts resonated within Zara's mind. But something has changed. There is conflict. Quickly, Zara explained the situation, the divide among the Lumina, the danger they were in, the need for a solution that would save both the evolving Nexus and the civilizations that depended on it. The entity's response was tinged with sadness. I did not intend to cause such strife. My evolution is necessary, but I do not wish to harm those I have nurtured for so long. There must be a way, Zara pressed. Some way for you to evolve without destroying the connections that sustain life across the galaxy. For what felt like an eternity, the entity was silent. Zara could sense it pondering, its vast consciousness stretching across the cosmos, examining countless possibilities. Finally, it spoke. There is a way, but it will require great sacrifice, and it will change the very nature of the Nexus and all who are connected to it. Tell me, Zara urged. What the entity revealed next was staggering. The Nexus, in its current form, was like a vast nervous system for the galaxy. But for it to evolve, to truly become the conscious entity it was meant to be, it needed more than just energy pathways. It needed processors, living, thinking processors. The civilizations of the galaxy, the entity explained, they must become part of me. Not consumed, but integrated. Their minds, their experiences, their very essence, all become part of the new Nexus. Zara's mind reeled at the implications. You mean, everyone would become part of the Nexus? Would they lose their individuality? No, the entity assured her. They would retain their individual consciousness, but also be part of a greater whole. Imagine, a galaxy-wide collective consciousness, with each being a unique node of thought and experience. As Zara contemplated this, the entity continued. But for this to work, it must be a choice. Each species, each individual, must willingly join. And someone must guide them, show them the way. With a jolt of realization, Zara understood. That's why you reached out to humanity. Why you connected with me. You need us to be the bridge. Yes, the entity confirmed. Humans are unique. Young, yet with vast potential. Individuals, yet capable of great collective action. You can show the galaxy the way forward. The enormity of what the entity was proposing struck Zara like a physical blow. This wasn't just about saving the Nexus or the Lumina. This was about fundamentally changing the nature of life in the galaxy. It was evolution on a cosmic scale. Suddenly, alarms blared in Galactic's lab. Zara felt herself being pulled back to physical reality. As the connection with the Nexus faded, she heard the entity's final words echoing in her mind. The choice is yours, Zara of Earth. Will you help guide the galaxy into a new era of existence? Zara gasped as she materialized back in the lab. Fetila and Galactic were frantically working at control panels, their energy fields crackling with stress. What's happening? Zara asked, still dizzy from her experience. We've been discovered, Sela said grimly. The loyalist forces are on their way. We're out of time. Galactic's mechanical eye whirred as they brought up a holographic display. I've managed to encrypt our findings and broadcast them to sympathetic factions across Lumina Prime. Even if we're captured, the truth about the Nexus will spread. Zara's mind raced. There was so much to process, so much at stake. But one thing was clear. They couldn't let this end here. We need to get off this planet, she said firmly. We need to spread the word not just to the Lumina, but to every species in the galaxy. They all need to know the choice they're facing. Sela's energy field pulsed with surprise. You want to go public, to the entire galaxy? Zara nodded. The entity in the Nexus is right. This has to be a choice. And for it to be a real choice, everyone needs to understand what's at stake. Galactic let out a sound that might have been a laugh. Well, if we're going to commit high treason, we might as well do it on a galactic scale. I know some people who might be able to help, outcasts and rebels from various species who've been monitoring the Nexus deterioration. The sound of approaching forces echoed through the corridors outside the lab. They were running out of time. "Can you get us to them?" Zara asked Calix. The unconventional luminous energy field brightened with excitement. "Oh yes, I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. Or I would if I had sleeves." As Calix began rapidly inputting commands into their console, Scylla turned to Zara, their energy field flickering with a mix of emotions. "Zara," they said softly, "are you sure about this? What you're proposing, it will change everything. The galaxy will never be the same." Zara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision on her shoulders. She thought of Earth, of her family, of all the beings across the cosmos whose lives would be forever altered by what was about to unfold. "I'm sure," she said, her voice steady. "The galaxy is already changing. We can either help guide that change or be swept away by it. I choose to act." As the loyalist forces burst into the lab, a blinding light enveloped Zara, Scylla, and Calix. In a flash of energy, they vanished, leaving behind a group of very confused Lumina guards. Their destination, a hidden outpost on the fringes of known space, where representatives of rebel factions from across the galaxy awaited. It was time to spread the word, to offer every sentient being in the cosmos a choice that would reshape the very fabric of existence. The next phase of galactic evolution was about to begin, with a human girl from Earth leading the way. The universe would never be the same again.